too bad. I'm good. I'll stay off camera if it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm in Cape Town and I'm quite under the weather. So if you don't mind, I'll
No
just keep my camera and microphone off if that's okay.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. No problem at all. Thanks for joining. And hi, Phoebe. Can you hear me okay? You're muted, by the way. I don't know if that is intentional. Well, I'll let you, Phoebe, I'll let you sort out your mic, but you're welcome to use the chat if you have any technical problems. I'll open the chat. Oh, hi, Phoebe.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you and I can see you. Yes, nice to meet you.
Yes, well, thank you.
No worries at all. No worries. Well, these clinics are informal affairs, so yeah, Charlie, don't worry about not turning your camera on, and don't worry about technical difficulties. Everybody has technical difficulties, including myself. But anyway, lovely to meet you both. So sometimes in these clinics I do kind of a training session, but because there's only two of you guys and three of us today, I thought I would skip that. And if you've got any questions around, you know, what I might have done some training on, we can cover those questions. The training often is around different reasons that investors, founders fail to get investment, let's say. But I think we should dive straight in and maybe start by you guys telling us about yourself, about your startup, where you're at, and then once you've both done that, then I'll answer any questions that you have. So Phoebe, would you like to go first? Ladies first.
Yeah, that was good this time, right? Okay. Well, I'm Phoebe Washington, and currently, I think I'm focusing on the promise stage, and the way that I look at it is God gave us all gifts and promises, but I'm like a serial entrepreneur. I can't focus on the one. I try to focus on everyone that pops in my head. So right now I think I'm on the stage of working towards follow through and destination.
And okay, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. So what I mean when I say stage is, with your startup, is it just an idea? Have you validated it? Have you created a product? Have you created your documentation? Have you created your pitch deck? Have you launched the product? You know, what stage is your business at? And maybe you can relate that to what you said so that I can get an understanding of that.
Correct. So the reason I say I'm focused on follow through, and that's my destination, because I'm in the ideal stage. Yeah. I've created the product as far as, you know, drawings or whatever, or the use of apps, you know, to help create that, build the platform for it. I have a deck for it. I have all that for those products, but it's not just one, it's multiple. So that's why I gave you that story in the beginning. Yeah. So right now I'm at the ideal state of either me doing it personally, or I would rather have a partnership, like the training, the mentorship. So I know if I got only one to focus on, I know what I can do with the thousands that's waiting.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. So couple of things there, just right off the bat. Yeah, it's in my experience, and it's what investors want, to try to focus on one thing. But you are wise in two senses of the word. One is, you know, you're getting help to try to work out what to focus on. But you're absolutely right that lots and lots of what you learn for one startup can be transferred across to other startups. So in terms of the business strategy and all the documentation and how to get investment and the mindset, and, you know, and in fact, it's my job. I see it as my job to help founders grow, not just to help you get funding or help you create a product or a business, but to help you grow. In so much so, to if you got to a point where you don't need me anymore because you've got all that confidence, all that clarity, you know what you're doing, you know how to do it, you know when to do it, blah, blah, blah. If you know all that and you don't need me anymore, then I've done a perfect job. So
that was a perfect response. I wanted to hear it just like that, and you said it perfectly.
Thank you. All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. So we'll come back to you, Phoebe, for any questions that you've got. Charlie, tell us about you and your the problem you're solving and the stage your startup is at.
Hi guys. Hi Phoebe. Thank you for,
Hey, how are
for
you,
sharing.
Charlie?
Hi. Thank you for sharing that. That was really interesting to hear about. So we are sure. I'm not sure if you remember. You and I have actually spoken briefly before.
I thought I recognise your voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at quite kind of an interesting stage at the moment, just this week, because when we started building our platform, it sits in the travel tech space, and the original iteration of this was a kind of marketplace where people could find travel companies for niche adventurous destinations where human expertise was still valued. And as these things do, I've been working on it now for a year and 5 months, give or take, and the where we are at now, based on many different rounds of it being molded on feedback and investor feedback and customer feedback, etc., is actually more of a B2B SaaS product, which is an AI integration into travel companies' websites, which engage with travel. Essentially, we replace the web forms. So if you go onto a travel company's website, it says, if you want to book a trip, you add your name and information here, and we'll have someone contact you. And what happens is there's a huge drop off at that point in the sales funnel, because lots of people are in the kind of the planning momentum, and then they end on this form and it goes. So we use proprietary AI models that are connected to supplier databases that speak with the customer instead of the form. So rather than saying, give us your details, they say, great, tell us about what you're looking to do. Have you considered this place? You should look at this accommodation. This would be an interesting thing for you to do. And we turn that engagement, the end result is ultimately the same. They get passed on to a human consultant. But it means that the first conversation they have with a human is, we can see what you're looking at. This is really interesting. But if you want to make this as good as it can be, this is what I'd recommend. As opposed to, hey, do you have half an hour to jump on a call so I can find out the information about you? So that's where we are now. We've changed. I have to say, it's been I've learned, and not that it's been a lesson. I would say not that it's been something I've ever fought, but you really got to be kind of willing to change direction slightly and take on feedback and understand that your idea might be good and not the right product market fit. So that's where we are now, and as soon as we've made that change, the traction we're getting in investor conversations is much quicker, much more significant.
Fantastic. So if I've understood you correctly, you've now got to a point where you think you've got that like market fit. You're meeting the needs of your customer, their customers. So you're getting traction now. You're getting success with the software, and so you're now using that to have better conversations with investors with the view to getting investment, to ramping up the business development side of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. And where are for you, what's the sort of gap? What's the sort of the burning question that you have, or the worry that you have that brings you to this call today, or that I can help you with generally? If there's one thing you came out of this call today having answered, or having at least some more clarity on, what would that be?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if there's one specific thing, but not one thing. Yeah. I think because I understand this well enough to know that there isn't one specific thing that's going to fix this. The biggest problem I have at the moment is that I have a very capable CTO who's employed full time at Dyson, and he's under increasing pressure to commit more time and travel to a job that he doesn't want to be in. We can't afford yet to pay him a salary. He's really eager to come across, but the fact he's not working for us full time also has knock on in terms of our time frames and the predictability of those. So it's just about, I think it's not so, I know that there's probably not going to, unless you turn around, Stuart, off the back of this call and say, hey, here's 50 grand, you know, which I haven't come onto the call expecting, but I think it's just more about you know, increasing my own understanding of the space, perhaps looking for things I could be doing better, you know, opportunities I haven't seen yet.
So okay, so your biggest, one of the headaches you've got is that tension between wanting that CTO but not being able to afford them yet, and then wanting to come over but you can't pay them what they need.
Yeah.
And so have you, I mean, I'm assuming, but I could be wrong, I'm assuming that your business plan, that, you know, the financial forecasting shows that you, as soon as you get investment, you'll be able to bring on the CTO and pay him a salary. Is that
Yeah.
the case? Okay, good. And have you got to the point with investors yet where you've had those detailed conversations around what the money's going to be spent on and when, things like that?
We're getting to them now in about 4 or 5 conversations.
Okay, that's so. I guess what I'm asking is, have any investors said to you, why haven't you got a full-time CTO? Or have you said to any investors, we will have a full-time CTO as soon as we get investment, so that we can afford, you know, their minimum. And I do recommend starting with the minimum, especially if you're giving equity, start with the absolute minimum that they can live off, because investors, you know how you would feel if you gave someone money and they're just paying, you know, they're just paying a salary with it. But so start with the absolute minimum and equity, not 50%. That can lead to headaches. You know, I don't know. It'll obviously be dilutable, the equity you give to the CTO, but it can't be 50%, and you'll have to have an options pool, and you'll have to dilute for investors anyway. But that's a separate thing. But the question I have is, have you had any feedback on, or had a conversation around, you know, once we get investment, we'll be paying a salary to our CTO to mitigate that risk of not having a CTO?
Yeah, I have. How that's come about in the conversations, it's come about in both of the ways. Either people have asked, or it's been kind of the natural flow of the conversation as it's come. So I think the only thing that's only really been fed back is no one's had a problem with it. The only 2 people have just come back and said, just don't put salaries in your pitch deck. Just call it operational runway or something like that. Which we've changed.
Yeah. But you can't never mislead investors or lie to investors ever. So you have to, in your business plan, you have to show what it is actually for. But yes, roll it up. That's what I do. I roll it up into operations in the pitch deck and show, you know, I typically just split the investment into 3 blocks, you know, marketing, product, and operations. And that's coarse-grained enough to show investors initially. Okay, good. So it sounds like that's all positive, and you don't need to worry too much, because when you get investment, you'll be able to bring the CTO across, and I'm sure he can wait until that point, but it incentivizes him to help you get the investment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in that regard, we're both singing from the same hymn sheet with regards to that, and I've always been very transparent with him about, you know, what realistic timeframes would look like to achieve it. I think the other thing as well, which is important, is I've always made sure to maintain momentum with prospective customers. So the back end of this week, tomorrow, I've got the reason I'm in Cape Town is because I've got a face-to-face meeting here with potentially quite a big customer, and then we have a follow-up call with another similar-sized customer on the Thursday. So I'm kind of hoping that we can get to a stage where we have a kind of pre-revenue agreement in place, which will hopefully, you know, speed things up, but also might give us a bit of a runway to start with.
Okay, so it's beyond letter of intent time. It's actually some kind of contract where they pay you money because you've got a product that gives value.
I'm hoping so. I'll know more by tomorrow afternoon. But
it would, if you can't quite get to that stage, be honest with them, because these are early customers that you want to build a good relationship with for many reasons. But if you can't get to that stage where you've got an actual contract, or at least a heads of terms in this meeting, why don't you float the idea of a letter of intent, which is non-obligatory? There's no obligation for them, but that will help you get investment, and say to them, that will help me get investment, which will allow me to, add more features to the product and support you better. So it's a win-win.
yeah, absolutely. To be honest, one of the things I have in my favor with this conversation, so it's a second conversation, and I've actually worked for two of the companies that this umbrella organization owns.
Right.
So I know very well how they work, and I also know what their pain points are within those companies firsthand, and they are aware of me before the conversations. So even on the first call, I was very clear with them. I said, we're very early stage. Our main thing is to generate some kind of funding so that we can deliver this product, and they sounded happy to support that.
Great. Well, all sounds very positive. Yeah, fantastic.
Congratulations.
It just moves. Thank you. It just moves so much slower than you want it to.
Like 100% of the time, yeah. yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Charlie. Phoebe, Phoebe, what's any questions that you have that I can answer right now?
I wanted to know what some of the startup companies that you started. I know it's quite a few of them, and I just wanted, what was your passion really behind in starting those software companies?
I've changed as I've got older. So when I was younger, my passion was definitely around software, creating tech, and then creating businesses around them. Not for the money necessarily, but just I absolutely love creating. And then I kind of evolved into, well, actually what I create helps people. Quite like that. Quite like it when I've got one of my products. I'll tell you one, my kind of biggest success, I guess you could say, ended up with 11 million users, which I thought, oh, that's great. 11 million users are actually benefiting from what I do. And so that was my passion, my only passion, let's say, for the majority of my passion for sort of 20, 30 years. But then as I got older, I kind of realized that I also have a passion for helping people. Actually, what we're doing now, basically, I love helping people to just move forward, to grow, to succeed. And it's not a binary thing, it's a journey, obviously, and I help different founders on different stages of their journey for different lengths of time, and that's fine by me. So I kind of evolved to more doing what I'm doing now, which is helping people, but it still allows me to do the tech, indirectly the tech side. Now I do with some founders, I get involved, so I'll help them design the product, create the tech requirements or the tech spec, or maybe manage help them find the developers and manage the team. So I do get involved in that, but I don't actually write code anymore because honestly, I found it too easy. It was the same thing day in, day out. Whereas meeting different people, such as yourself, and helping different people do different things. I have founders in many, many industries doing all sorts of helping many, many different types of people. So it's very diverse in that respect. So that's actually makes it interesting for me as well as my passion. And of course, as you get older, you want to make a difference as well in terms of impact. So my mission is actually to empower as many early stage founders as possible to succeed and make an impact. That is my mission statement.
Well, thank you for meeting with us today.
My pleasure. No, my pleasure, truly. But your second part of your question was tell you about one of the startups that I've created. So this is a great story. I love this story. I shouldn't say this, but I do. So I was on holiday in, 2008, I think it was, summer of 2008. My business partner phoned me up and said, Stu, there's no spreadsheet for the new iPhone. Okay, so this was when the App Store had just been launched. There was only a few hundred apps on it. So I said, give me a week. So I wrote the engine, the bit that does all the calculations and the data and everything. I wrote the engine, and my business partner wrote the sort of the UX for it. It took him about 4 weeks. And then we had the first spreadsheet for the iPhone, something like app number 900. And if you look back in the iPhone history, you'll see, we're there. And that it evolved into being Microsoft Office compatible. It evolved into a suite of products. So it was like not just a spreadsheet, but like document and deck editor. And then it evolved onto the iPad. So we also had the first Office compatible suite of products on the iPad. And we were number one in productivity in over 20 countries for the best part of 9 months. And as I said, we ended up with 11 million users, and we ended up exiting that company to go on to other things. So that's one of my favorite products and companies.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's impressive.
Thank you. I could tell you more and more and more, but enough about me. I want to know more about you. And okay, fantastic. And Phoebe, do you have any questions around what you're doing to help you to move forward?
After listening to Charlie, I can see he's on a quantum agent stage, and I'm currently still at the stage of, I guess, is futurable coachable, or is the past coachable? Which one? Because they say don't look back to the past and always look towards the future. So I'm still at the stage as the way that you and Peter and yourself and Charlie speak. It's like I'm catching up. You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
It's like I'm on the stage, like I need to catch up. I'm like worlds behind, right?
Okay.
But when I develop an idea, it feels like, okay, I'm the first. I've never seen this idea. Let me go to Google patent search and see if anybody has it.
Yeah.
And if there's an open space for it. I used to love Happy. I used to like be in love with Happy, right? And what I mean by that is that was the point that you wanted to get at, right? Now I'm so love the challenge of not happy. So that way the space in between there is just a lot of challenges, a lot of growth opportunities. I rather for that to be said in that way, I rather solve, like you said, what is the space missing, right? What is the space needs to be filled, and what Charlie just figured out. I was like, right, that space needed to be filled. Yeah. If I had the $50,000, I send it to you, Charlie. It needs to be filled.
Well, so thank you for that. My personal view is happiness comes from having two things. One is purpose. The second is relationships. And on the business side, your purpose can be applied to personal or business. I apply, and as I think most entrepreneurs and founders do, apply that purpose to the business side of things. So I think happiness comes out of that. So, and actually, it is true that founders with a purpose that actually have a passion for what they do, either what they do, who they help, what problem they solve, they have a passion for some part of it, they're much, much more likely to succeed because they're more resilient and therefore not likely to give up than those founders that think, oh, I think I've got this idea that I think will make money.
Exactly.
100%, I believe that to be true. Now, the other thing you said was, oh, you need to catch up, you're at the beginning of the journey, then, it's great. We all start somewhere. And the way I work is I have a process that is kind of based on tried and tested best practices and standards. So, it's a pathway from wherever you are to wherever you want to get to. And it's for each founder, it's similar. I won't say the same, it's similar. So there are big steps you need to take, and within there are smaller steps and smaller steps until you actually come to concrete things you need to actually do. And I can talk about all of that, anytime. But I say similar, not the same, because every founder is different as a person. Every situation is different. You have a different type of people you're helping, a different problem you're helping with. You have different strategy. You have different idea on how to achieve that strategy. So you have to be this mix of following a standard best practice process and being pragmatic. And I try to walk that tightrope of the two. But don't worry that you're at the beginning of the journey. I think it's true to say that you're more likely to make progress and ultimately succeed if you are methodical and follow a process. And I believe in, documenting things for various reasons. And then that's an absolute necessity when you're getting investment. But it's not just for investment. It's for you to ensure that you've thought things through properly and you can communicate that to whoever. So documentation is part of that process. But following a process, whatever that process is important for success, I believe, rather than just sort of a lot of people I see just randomly, I think I need to do this, and then I think I need to do that, and it's and I have that process. I have a process that I've developed over years and years and years, decades, arguably, that I follow with the founders with that pragmatic mindset as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that's surely what I'm looking for, that type of guidance and help.
Fantastic. And Phoebe, so you said you've got a bunch of ideas and you wisely want to pick one to focus on.
Correct.
So starting there, well, you tell me, how are you intending to choose which one to focus on?
It's hard. That was a very good question.
It is hard. It is hard. Yeah, you may not know the answer, and that's fine too.
I know the answer, but there's two of them. It's not one.
Okay, so hang on. You've narrowed it down from many down to two. Well, that's the starting point.
It's two. It is, do you want to start small so you'll learn the growth opportunity to something that you can learn from quickly, or do you want to go big where it will help and support more people, but it's going to take you longer to get there because you're going to be helping more people?
Yeah. Well,
the like, if I was like you did like $1 million, you said you did 11 million subscribers. If you did users, you had 1 million users, it probably took you this much to get that, but to get to 11, you just kept building on top of whatever you were doing.
Well, actually, it's not quite like that. If you have an engine that works, if you have a system that works, and that system involves some of it's software, but others is your back end process and your marketing machine, the whole thing. It's not just the software itself, it's the whole business. If you have a process, a system, an engine that makes money, it's like you put money in and it does some things automatic, but you have some humans that do some things and it spits out more money. If you have a system, you don't necessarily need to add more and more and more to that system. It works, and then you just put more money in, you get more money out. That's
I apologize. I was working backwards. So the reason I say that is right now we got the iPhone 17. So do I work on the iPhone 17 or do I build the iPhone 3 so I can get monetary from 3, from 5, from 7? Every time you add plus or ultra or max, even to software, right? Or if you add for free versus a download, which one do you start at?
Yeah, those are the models. There's your business models, which that's a separate decision. I think there are two questions to answer for
Do I
you.
start on the bigger?
Well, the answer to these two questions will help you answer that
Okay.
final question. So the first question is, for each of these two, what is the problem that you're solving? Have you identified a real problem that you believe exists that you want to solve? I don't need an answer to that, but that's the question that needs answering.
Yes.
And secondly, what does your gut tell you about what you want from the business that you create in the first instance? For example, are you happy that it just pays for you, is a small team, makes a little bit of impact for a few people, or do you want to grow an empire, a unicorn, and impact as many people as possible, both in terms of your team and your customers, and kind of within what your gut tells you, it's like which area feels right. Okay, now once you've answered those two questions, I don't think that's quite enough to make a decision. I think the missing piece of the puzzle then is, you know what your gut tells you, you know what the problem is you're solving. I think then you've got to do some validation work on both of those two. So when I say validation, I mean reach out to those people or businesses that you believe have the problem and engage with them. There are different ways of engaging, but engage with them to prove, or at least give yourself confidence that there really is a problem, that you can find the people with that problem. They agree they have a problem. They agree it has a value that they'll pay for. They agree that it's a priority. And by the way, I'm going to send you the recording of this call, so we'll have all the notes from that. They agree it's a priority for them. What have they tried to solve the problem? So if you can validate in that way, that's one way of validation. The other way is to look at the competitors, other people or other ways of solving the problem, which doesn't have to be software, can be pen and paper, can be some service that someone's provided, but other ways of solving the problem. It could be a spreadsheet people use. Once you do that for both, I believe that it will become very clear to you, based on what you want from your business, what you think the problem is and your evidence for that, which one you want to focus on.
I believe so too.
And
I believe so.
I should add, it would be remiss of me to add, I can help you not to
add. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think so as well. I think if I narrow down exactly, not trying to do overnight. I'm really trying to get the idea from who would want it and why they would need it.
Yes.
You see what I mean? Why would you need this? So when you just spoke on the point of call these people, hey, would this help you out in your daily routine? And they give me a yay or nay, or...
Yeah, it doesn't quite... When you engage with them, and I say engage advisedly, because you could email, phone call, do a meeting like this, do face-to-face, do a survey, a poll, there's many ways of engaging. But when you end up speaking to them, there's a way of doing it that I believe is better than other ways. So you said about asking them, is this something you would need? I advocate doing the opposite way around. I start by asking very open questions about them, their situation, their problems. Very, very open question. And only later in the conversation, close those questions down and talk about your solution, your potential solution. Because the type of people that want to engage with you are the type of people who are kind of more likely to tell you what they think you want to hear. And closed questions make it very, very easy for people to say yes, because I think that's what you want to hear, as opposed to the honest answers. But open questions allow people to articulate what situation is and what their problem is, and you can refer back to it when asking more closed questions. So there's a very, very particular way that I like to have run these kind of customer discovery calls, let's say.
So is that just to sum that up? That was really great information. Speak with them about what they overall
Yeah,
every day, and then just add in what value I have.
Not quite. Find out about them, their way of working, the problems that they have, the situation that they have, and then you want to focus on the problem that you are interested in. Tell me more about this problem. What's the impact of that problem? What have you done to try and fix it? What is that worth to you? Is that losing time or money or quality of your service? Or I don't have the context of what you're thinking, but hopefully you get the picture. And then once you've got these answers, you can say, okay, well, I'm considering a solution that has these benefits that will help you with this problem. And that's when you start saying, okay, is this something that you would need? More closed questions. Is this something that you would need? Would you pay, what amount of money is too much? What amount of money is too little? So you can get a range of sort of pricing, depending on the model. I don't even know if you're B2B or B2C or whatever. So there are some differences there, but start to ask more closed questions around your solution later on. But really try and understand them, because you'll know what other problems they have, what their priorities are, what else they've tried to solve the problem, as I mentioned earlier. And also remember, you'll be getting the language they use to describe the problem, which you can then use in your sales and marketing materials, because that's more likely to resonate with people if you're using their language.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that.
Cool. Fantastic. So I'll switch back to Charlie for a mo, if that's okay. Charlie, hi.
Hi, guys.
Else you wanted to cover whilst on the call?
No, not really. As I say, I joined just to hear kind of just more your trains of thought and school of thought, as opposed to needing any specific advice. Sadly, I feel as though the stage where I'm at now is one where I have to take the lessons I've learned and just keep plugging away. I don't think there's a silver bullet, sadly.
Yeah, I think that certainly my program is you're not a fit for that because you're further down the line. I think you're absolutely right there. I do think it's worth having a look at my academy though, which I've just moved to School, a platform called School.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. Oh, good. So I'll put a link in the chat. It might be worth checking that out, and that way you'd get sort of weekly clinics, so weekly sessions like this, other founders, resources. So you get access to the, with any questions you have as you go along, kind of thing. Sorry, Charlie, say again.
I just said thank you.
Oh, pleasure. Sorry, it's a little bit of a bad line. Yeah, so I think you're right, Charlie. Whereas Phoebe, I think you're perfect for my program to help you get from where you are to get investable or launchable as a product. It's not a short journey, but I maximize the speed and minimize the effort and the worry on for you. Have you spoken to Peter about that? Do you have any questions specifically around how I can help you in the program?
That was the biggest question. How can you help me? I had that on the list. How do you help? How do you actually help the founders?
Good question. So I've mentioned the academy already, but I think that you need more hand-holding. I get the impression that you do need more hand-holding, which is fine. Lots of people do, and that's no problem. So I don't know what Peter's told you already, but I'll take you through end to end, and you can tell me I know this, I know that if I'm repeating. But in my program, for you, we would start off with kind of the two ideas and try to sort of get them down to one. Once that's done, possibly in parallel, we'll have to, it depends on the situation. I don't know the details, but there might be some overlap. But after we've done that, or whilst we're doing that, we would work on your strategy. So we would cover everything that you need and that you need to know and do to lock down the sort of first version of your strategy. That gives you a very, very clear roadmap of what you're going to do in the future, how you're going to do it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you don't need to worry. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to do anything going into the strategy session.
Okay.
I will show you everything, help you make the decisions. If there's any work to be done, such as these validation calls, for example, I'll guide you on that. I'll show you how to do that. And, so you won't ever be left wondering or worrying.
Thank you.
I might use that actually. No wondering. No. The strategy session, strategy phase is the first phase, and then we do a risk analysis. Now, this may be something you've never done before, never even thought about. That's fine. Again, you don't need to know anything or do anything. I will guide you through that, but it's really important exercise. And Charlie, this is for you too. Make sure you do a risk analysis, because investors will ask you about this, either on an individual risk by risk basis, or they might even ask to see your risk analysis. Cool. And again, Charlie, if you join the academy, you'll get access to access to that resource. I have templates for everything. I have documents and instructions for everything. So we're efficient. So we'll do the risk analysis, Phoebe, and I'll do that with you.
Okay.
And the purpose of that is not just to get investment, but it's also to know, so that you know where the risks are, so that you can mitigate those moving forward. Then we move into the document phase, where I create all the documentation for you. It'll be me and my team, but the documentation will be created for you.
Okay.
And there's quite a lot of documentation. So we do it, much quicker than you would. I've never seen it done quicker than I do it. I can't say that every founder will be the same, but maybe 6 weeks roughly for the documentation, whereas I've seen it take months and months and months for founders. But that's market research summary, elevator pitch, business plan, market sizing, founder credibility, go-to-market strategy, and your pitch deck and your pitch script. So all that documentation we will do. But you never lose visibility and you never lose control. So you have full control over it. So you have to sign it off, so it's only finished when you're happy with it.
Thank you for that.
And then the final phase, sorry, go on.
I had something to add. That when we're still on the two pictures, right? we haven't struck out. We still on the two pictures. With the two pictures, since you have like fresher eyes than me, and I'm focused on two that, from my lack of the experience and the knowledge, that I preferably would rather for you to look at all of them and you help me decide that, because I have passion for each and every one of them. But with your fresher eyes on it, it'll let me know. Yeah, I've created that in 2022, Phoebe. So it would be.
Yeah, we can.
I wanted to share that.
Yeah, we can. I'd be happy to, spend an hour or two going over the different ideas, and I can tell you what I think the pros and cons of each are. I can understand a little bit your personal motivations and goals and desires, to help align what I think I would do in your situation. So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
you know, and it might be obvious which one you should focus on, you know, with my experience, in which case you don't need to spend the time validating the one that you're not going to be working on. Yeah, so I'd be happy to do that, definitely.
I'm glad you take all questions.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm glad you take all questions.
If I can't answer a question, I will tell you. I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you.
And then just to finish off, the final phase of the program is to, once your investment ready, which is when the documentation has been signed off, I will then hold your hand through the investor outreach phase. So I'll help you to find investors, reach out, engage investors, pitch to investors, handle questions, handle feedback. And I am holding your hand through that process until you get investment, basically.
I thank you for that, because the next call after the academy, I want to be able to speak like Charlie.
Well, it can be done.
Be able to speak like Charlie.
Exactly. There is a startup language, you know, which you will learn as you go along. I mean, if I said, you know, Tam, Sam, Som, Kak, Churn, Charlie knows what I'm talking about, but you might not have heard of these things, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. You'll learn this stuff.
Thank you.
Charlie, this is the point, Charlie, where you say, yeah, I know all of this stuff. Like
I do, and I remember very much being in a situation, Phoebe, not that long ago, where it was all like Mandarin to me. So yeah, it all sounds so much more complicated than it actually is when you know what it means.
Yeah.
Thank you for the voucher.
And it's my job to really, really keep it as simple and easy to understand as possible, because you know, there's no point explaining something in a complex way if you don't understand it, and if it doesn't need to be explained in a complex way. You know, I am ultimately lazy. You know, I think all software developers are, because we want to make things as easy as possible. But what's wrong with that? You know, if it meets the quality requirements, then great.
And it's funny that you're dumbing it down for me that it's still high level.
But it's okay, you know, because I pride myself in explaining complex things in simple ways, actually. And if you still don't understand it, I'll go deeper. And
yeah, you can say dumb it down. However you did, you dumbed it down, and I said, "Oh, this is so high level. It's a lot that I'm missing out on." But after Charlie's voucher and validation, I'm exactly where I need to be at a start.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to pop a link in the chat, and that you spoke to Pete, didn't you, Phoebe?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'll pop a link in the chat. So why don't you and you'll get an email probably tomorrow. I've got to run after this call, catch a bus, playing badminton. But why don't you set up a call with Pete, and he will get you started, answer any additional questions that you have.
Okay.
Or you can email questions, and you know we're very flexible. So, but the next step for you is to book the call with Pete so that he can get you started if that's what you decide to want to do.
Okay.
So we've got 10 minutes left on this call, which I'm happy to answer any additional questions either of you have, or we can we can have 10 minutes of our time back and make a cup of coffee or whatever. So if you've got any more questions, I'm very happy to answer them.
I think I have like one quick question or two. In the beginning, when you're starting out in idea phase and you're going over, I guess, either the app or the startup or the product, if you're doing software, is there a tech team for the product part, or is it just software?
Sorry, could you? I didn't quite.
So software comes with a product.
Yeah. So
Oh,
software, software. There's a little bit of a difference between a piece of software and a product.
correct.
Yeah. So a product has to handle things like payments, and it has to be robust and scalable and secure and compliant. Oh, we've lost Charlie. So,
He's back.
Charlie. So a piece of software does a job, does some work. I do in and I log in and I get some value from it, or that value might be monetary, it might be entertainment, whatever it is. Okay, but a product has a kind of a layer around it that makes it fit to be put out into the world. Let's say.
Correct.
It's got to be secure, so no one can hack it and get data, and you have to be compliant. There are various compliance requirements, and it has to interact with the business. So as well as taking payments, it has to be able to deliver analytics to the business so that you can see what's working, what's not working, etc. There's an ecosystem around it, so you might be sending out marketing messages or in-app notifications to people. You've got the support side of things, so it's kind of an onion with the software in the middle, and then the product pieces around it, and then the business around that. But yeah. So there is.
I think my question was, do we do all of it, or do you just do the software part of that?
No. We cover the strategy for your whole business.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Documentation covers the whole business because investors will want to know the whole thing to make sure there are no big gaps and that they actually will get a return on their investment.
Got you.
And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. Charlie, did you have any more questions?
No, not really. I think it's just been good to listen to you speak, Stuart, to be honest. No specific questions. I think the only thing I might just say is just something that when I was at Phoebe stage that you touched on, which I underestimated how important it would be, is to go out to the people who would use your product really, really early. Like, I kind of saw that as something I would do later on. That has to be like the first thing you do almost. And I don't think it necessarily has to be the first thing you do, but every conversation from that point on is so much easier to have if you've been diligent in doing that to start.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I needed that.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, guys, let's finish there. So, Charlie, you've got that link to the Academy if you want to check that out. Phoebe, you've got the link to check to book a call with Pete, who will guide you through next steps.
Okay.
And I look forward to speaking to you both again.
Me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Charlie.
All the very best of luck, and I hope it goes well for you.
Same for you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Stuart. Bye.